On today's episode 29 of Sculpt N Create, we got a powerful one. As I'm tapping in with Dr. Chapa, clinical nutritionist, wellness advocate, and speaker who's been in the functional and holistic wellness space for over 20 years, helping people get to the root cause of what's really going on in their bodies. In this conversation right here, it's not just eat better talk. Dr. Chapa breaks down how so many of us were literally trained into unhealthy habits early, and why a lot of what we think is normal eating is really just marketing, processed food, and straight up Frankenfood routines that keep people stuck. He shares his own story too, from being an overweight kid hooked on sugar to losing 55 pounds in a few months, and how life events push him deeper into this mission. And we go into some real gems like why sugar is one of the biggest silent saboteurs of energy, focus, and long-term health, the difference between what's genetic and what's just familiar habits passed down, how to stop treating nutrition like punishment and start treating it like quality of life maintenance, why artists and entertainers should see themselves as athletes because your body is literally your instrument, practical strategies for busy creators on the road, including intermittent fasting, protein first mornings, and smarter ways to navigate restaurants and nightlife without crashing your progress. And I'm telling you now, if you ever feel like your energy is inconsistent, your focus is foggy, or you keep going through that cycle of locked in, then burnout, this episode is for you. So tap in, take notes, and listen with attention. Let's get into episode 29 with Dr. Chapa. And if you're listening right now, make sure you hit subscribe or follow and drop a comment with your biggest takeaways from the episode. What's one nutrition habit you really know you need to tighten up, starting this week? Welcome to Sculpt N Create, where fitness fuse creativity and helping artists, entertainers, and creators toward their journey in their physical, personal, and career growth. I'm your host, Trea Da Fit Artist, and who I have with me today is Dr. Chapa. He is a clinical nutritionist, wellness advocate, and speaker. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
Hey, Trey. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm so glad to be with your audience. How you been, man?
Man, I've been doing good, man. I'm glad you can make it, man. You know how it is, just grinding, you know?
Yeah, 100%, man. We go time all the time. When we're in the space of teaching and preaching our message, I mean, there's a lot of working parts to make these types of events happen, whether they're podcasts, whether they're live deals where we go and teach and share messages with hope. Teach people how to live better, be better. That's my message, is living better, being better, staying better, one bite at a time. You know what I mean?
Right. Definitely. Most definitely. So now before we actually begin, let everybody know where they can find out more about you and also partake in your services if possible too as well.
Yeah, man. So my name is Dr. Chapa. I have a wellness clinic, a alternative medicine, a doctor's office that I've been practicing functional medicine, anything that doesn't involve drugs and surgery for the last 20 years. So people come in and see me for all kinds of health issues, which I'm sure we'll kind of just dive into and talk to. And I got a website, Dr. Chapa or drchapawellness. You can just Google me. I should pop up. I'm on all your social media platforms, Dr. Chapa Wellness, Dr. Chapa, and justlivewell.com. And it's just been it's been a great ride, man. Now we're in a completely different space where we can take a message to people everywhere. You know what I mean? And make a difference. And everybody's got a little niche that they tap into. And I have a family medicine practice and teaching people how to live better, be better through supplementation, through detoxification, any type of wellness practice I'm pretty into.
Okay. That's what's up, man. And yeah, definitely. It's something, like I said, when I was fitness coaching, I mostly was doing it in person, and I was always had an online element to it, but later on had branched out more and more into the online space, and I love it more than I do the in person. I will do it. It just depends. But I really like this space, and that's why I'm primarily at with it, because you can reach so many more people than it is in person. You only got so many hours in the day.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is one of the ways I do it, amongst others, and so forth, for the online space of thing. Now, but let's get into it, man. So tell us more about what you do.
Yeah, man. So like I got into this business, number one, through a personal wellness journey myself. And, it's very interesting. I find most people that are in the wellness space, they have some kind of personal testimony. And my journey started when I was 15 years old. So I'm 46 years old now. And I have been, practicing and, teaching this message for 20 years professionally. But at 15 years old, I was about 55 pounds overweight and hormonal young kid. Girl makes fun of me, calls me fat. Oh my God. It was brutal. I literally was so devastated, as you can imagine, that I
Hmm.
literally just walked out the back of the school, didn't check out, and said, we're gonna go have a little talk with myself in the mirror. And that's exactly what I did, man. I went home and I had a little chat with myself in the mirror and said, Chuck, we're never gonna have a girl make fun of us again for being fat. What are we gonna do? And so that started my wellness journey, man. I
Okay.
recognized sugar was a problem. I was drinking 4, 6 sodas a day, 3 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on white bread a day. Why? I don't know. I just is what I did. And I remember I would take a tortilla and I'd warm it up, put butter and sugar all over it, and have a sugar-based tortilla snack. And
Yeah.
I was a sugar junkie, man.
Yeah.
And that started my journey pulling that sugar off of my diet. I lost every bit of that 55 pounds in about 4 months, 3 to
Okay.
4 months. And it completely changed my life. I mean, I had to introduce myself to people again because I lost so much weight, people didn't even recognize me. But when you lose 55 pounds that fast, I mean, yeah, it makes a drastic stark difference. So I got a message really early in life that
Yeah.
sugar's not my friend.
Right.
And now since have discovered, sugar's most of our enemies at a astronomical level. We've got to get people to see that sugar feeds infection. Sugar contributes to all kinds of metabolic issues. It disrupts our creative genius and
Mm.
causes our bodies to completely fall apart. And so at 15 years old, I didn't really have a family history of knowing how to take care of myself. I literally just got rid of something simple. Like if you had listeners that like, where do I start? I just cut sodas, sweet tea, sweet lemonade. I didn't do any juice. And I just took the sugar drinks out of my diet and it
Right.
radically shifted my life.
Yeah.
And interestingly, at 19, I felt like I had the world, kind of by the tail, and I felt like I was knew what I was going to do with my life, which I didn't. But I got a wake up call that life is pretty fragile. And at 19 years old, my dad died in my arms of a heart attack.
I'm sorry
And
about that.
it was intense. Oh, yeah. Well, I will say what the devil meant for evil, Trey, the Lord meant for good. And now look at all the people that I've been able to help and encourage and give light to in their own health and wellness journey. And it's a spiritual journey as much as it is any type of healing journey, a hero's journey that I bet you see all the time, even in your industry with either fitness or your creatives. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Most definitely. You said two. Well, you said one thing that would well, two things. One, my dad was diagnosed with cancer on my 19th birthday, so I can kind of
Yeah.
relate with you to that. He passed away. I was about 27, but after that, definitely, that was definitely a big shift right then on. I didn't know it then, but it definitely was a big shift later on. But the first thing when you were saying that you was eating the peanut butter jelly sandwiches and so forth, and you don't know really why you was doing it. And to that, I have said in a couple of interviews, I would tell them, I believe it starts at home with our parents and so forth, looking at us how we eat, and it starts with and then it can kind of come from their parents too as well. So you can't just fully just blame them, but at the same time, if you know better, you can be able to teach your kids better and so forth. Sometimes they do it in spite of, like, I was raised this way, I'm not gonna do my kid this way. But gotta, like I would say, come to a place where they know that, like, child obesity, that's real, the issue that comes with it and so forth. So can you speak to that where, like you said, with your parent, like, what did they have a certain type of diet, or
Well,
was
yeah. So
go ahead.
backing up and just kind of tapping into that, you're
Okay.
absolutely right. So, like, we oftentimes find people blaming their health on their genetics. Oh,
Hmm.
my mom and dad had high cholesterol. I'm doomed to have high cholesterol. I've got high blood pressure because my mom and dad had high blood pressure. If they had cancer, like you had, your father had a type of cancer, then all of a sudden now you've got this death sentence that cancer is going to come on you. And the reality is it's not genetic as much as it's familiar. You're 100% right on the nose, perfect with the statement. It's familiar, something that we were raised. It started at home, their habits. The Rand and Pepsi Cola Corporation discovered early that if by 9 years old they can get you and I eating the right type of ketchup, there's the right type of drinks, there's the right type of chip, there's, if they can get you hooked on their product by 9 years old, you're a addicted customer for life. That's why the old saying says, I bet you can't eat just one. And everybody knows what that marketing is, right? And taste of a new generation, everybody knows what that marketing is. So marketing is powerful. So there's marketing dollars that are competing for our collective whole food dollar. And if they can get us eating repetitively 17 times their food, 17 exposures to the palate to adopt a new palate or taste or texture or sensation to a new food. So even if like you're making dietary changes right now and you're like, oh my gosh, I hate this food choices that I have access to. I don't know where to start and I don't like these foods. It takes 17 times to get your palate or your kid's palate acclimated to a new food, whether it's a vegetable or even meat textures, or, when people have texture issues, they have a salt, sour, sweet, bitter imbalance. So there's 5 palates that we really tap into. No one has to develop a sweet tooth. And my parents, they were overweight. They had heart issues, obviously. My dad had stents put in prior. He was a good cardio rehab patient. He was on statin drugs. He was on high blood pressure medications, and my mom was on 5 drugs and 1 hormone, and she was bloated and menopausal, and her body was not well. And so both mom and dad did the best they could with the education they had to eat well. But I find many people still today do not realize that processed food is not real food. It's Frankenfood. And so I was raised on a Frankenfood diet. They took my bacon and eggs away, Trey. You know what I mean? They go, that kid's got high cholesterol. He's on his way to heart disease like mom and dad. So we got to take him off the eggs because apparently they're bad. You got to take him off butter. You got to put him on the fake stuff. And that fake butter is so processed. It's one chemical reaction away from being plastic. And so when you eat make-believe food, the best you'll ever have is make-believe health. And when a person grabs hold of that nugget, they start questioning the food sources and the foods that they're putting in their body. And they say to themselves, that actually makes some sense. If what I'm eating doesn't have a mother or father, if what I'm eating has got a label with food ingredients on it I can't pronounce, maybe I should question whether or not I need to eat it as a 70, 80, 90% of my staple diet. And so when I look at my upbringing, I was conditioned to be the same boat, 53 years old, heart disease, overweight, probably some stents, lots of medications, and I would have been in the same unfortunate grave that my father is, more than likely, because it's familiar. When we look at obesity and you follow an obesity diet, you're going to find weight is an issue, metabolism's an issue, cholesterol, heart disease is an issue. And every person that I've met and worked with over the last 20 years of practice has a familiar history of either a skin issue, an allergy issue, and they have toxicity built up in their body. So learning a new way of living is a must for us. Especially if you have symptom patterns, that could be headaches, that could be skin, that could be allergies, that could be a diagnosis, but symptom patterns that you were not genetically born with. And so being raised in a home that was, like I said, eating tortillas with sugar and butter packed in the middle, being raised on, for soy foods and fake foods and Frankenfoods, my health was not moving in a good direction. So, we did make lifestyle changes. I mean, when my parents started on their health journey. They did the best they could with the education they had. But unfortunately, check this out. The American Heart Association has been in business for 100 years as of this year, but yet they still lead the charge in most deaths in our country. Over 800,000 people per year, a heart attack, heart disease, some sort of cardiovascular dysfunction. So I got a question. How can you suck at your job and still be in business 100 years?
Right. Yep.
And my dad was a part of that statistic in living on that American Heart Association diet, that fat has been demonized, butter, bacon grease, eggs, or have been demonized, and fake food, Frankenfood, make-believe health is the answer. And it isn't. I mean, it is just a myth. And now my mission is to educate people that, look, your body is designed by God. You were designed to heal. If you put the right fuel in and you do it consistently, and you're willing to take your body's health care to the next level by cleansing and maintaining things, whatever health ail you've been diagnosed with or that you're suffering with, you can reverse. So anything your body can develop, this is the best news I got for people in the health world that have been suffering. Anything your body has developed, it can undevelop by doing the opposite of what caused it. So we got to stop eating the foods and living the lifestyle that contributed to the advancement of disease, and start living a lifestyle that is promoting vitality, energy, and longevity.
Yeah, definitely. And when you was talking about like those ads they were trying to get where they succeeded, not trying to get kids hooked on certain things. So when they go into adulthood, they carry those same practices over. What came to mind was the propaganda. Like you had the I think they still make them to the day, pixie sticks, the big chew. And you say you're 46, so I'm 39, so we was around that same time. They had certain root beers inside of like the actual bottle that they had in beer bottles and stuff like that and everything. And there was another one I can't remember that mimicked the cigarettes.
Yes, I was going to say that. You stole it from me. I used to like pretend to smoke the bubblegum cigarette.
Yeah. So and the big chew, that's the tobacco. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah. And
they were training the youth early to smoke and to do tobacco, and and to get into these things. And oh my gosh. And how much fun was it whenever we would pull that Bigly chew out, stuff it in our cheekies, you know what I mean? Dude, I remember. I was all about it. I used to walk up to this little, place called PAX, and it 7 minutes walk there, and I always had some coin in my pocket, baby, to get me some sugar and some sort of drink to go along on the side. So I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts, and it's most of the food that people are consuming today are foods that they are either accustomed to because they've been marketed well, not because they're healthy. And so it makes food conversation difficult because you work with a lot of creative geniuses, right? We kind of talked about this in the past, right? And be creative, you need a sharp, highly processed functioning mind. If a person wakes up today and they got a show or they got a studio time and they got to go be creative and they got a migraine headache, how creative, how impactful will they be? Right?
Right. Not very.
And they won't be. That's right.
Yeah.
Helping people recognize that it's your life, your health, your choice. One of the best things that I've taught a lot of the entertainers that I get to work with is you are an athlete. You might not put pads on Sunday. You might not have baseball, the baseball legs and stuff like that. You might not be able to crank a grand slam, but you are an athlete in your own right. And we need to treat you as such. A well-oiled machine, a NASCAR race car ripping and roaring at 200 miles an hour around a racetrack. And if you take care of that race car, if you take care of that body, you will sing better. You'll be more creative in the studio. You'll get it in one turn instead of two. You know what I mean? Right. And you'll live in a space where your body is able to recover and then repeat the process tomorrow. So you can have back-to-back tour days, or you can have back-to-back creative spaces, and
Hmm.
you're in the game. And that is, essentially not just for, again, entertainers, but even for the parents. If we can teach parents to live their best, be their best, how much better would the kids in our environments be raised and to grow up in a home that understands food is medicine, food is fuel, and by definition, food should always nurture and build us up, never make us tired. So, like, if you go into the holidays, or if you go into an anniversary and you are food coma after you eat, you got to wonder, did I either eat too much or eat the wrong stuff? Because food, by definition, should give you energy, mental
Yeah,
clarity,
I say
and
that
high
all the time.
processing
Yeah,
power, not sleepy time. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
I say that all the time. I like you shouldn't be hung over after you eat and so forth. You should be able to. If food is fuel, it's supposed to keep you going
That's
and
exactly
everything.
right.
Yeah, but I tell my clients that when it does that, their body's saying, okay, lay down so we can sort this out, basically.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So we can go on, eat and burn this off of you. And then, that's what it is. But that type of living make you sluggish. And then, like I said, and what it does in process, it definitely turns into fat and so forth. So, but yeah, I say that all the time. And then like I said, being an example for your kids definitely help them to grow up and do that for themselves as an adult and so forth. And that kind of like beats the generation curse. Because like I said, you can't really just blame it on the parent. They probably seen it with their parents and so on and so forth. But once you
I liken it to you're following a recipe, and people never do what they want to do. They do what they know how to do.
right,
So I am always, taking a step back, and I'm saying to myself, what can I learn different about every case that I work with, so that and having, 20 years under my belt doing this for a living, like, I have seen, heard every rationalization, every excuse. I've seen people start and stop, come back after years of quitting. And, and it truly is, it's maintenance and it's work.
right,
There's nothing easy about fighting the machine that is marketing to you day in and day out. So
hmm,
it does make eating difficult, but we keep working at it, because when you quit on your menu plan, your exercise plan, your thinking plan, you're
hmm,
really selling yourself short to that example that we're leading into our next generation. And you're right. Our kids today, guys, are looking to us as leaders to move and shake and quake in a way that is, we're trendsetters. We have to be different than what's happening right now. I think it's like estimated. I see different statistics, but it's estimated that like more than 2/3 of the American population is in that obese, diabetic culture, and the kids under 20 years old are rapidly hitting the 40 percentile of obesity, diabetes, having early onset conditions and diagnoses. And the average American right now that's crossing into their 35 to 40 zone is on 3 medications. And then above 40, they're on 5 medications. That is
hmm.
no way to live a
I know it.
longevitous life, a
Right,
vital life, or an
right,
impactful life, right? And
yeah,
I'm all about legacy, and I know you are too, and helping
right,
people see it's
yeah.
their life, their health, their choice.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing that you had just said, it's funny that you said that because a few interviews back, if you look back, you might want to check that episode out. Tom Swell, he was talking about the athlete. That we all, the human athlete is what he called it. So he said, you got the athletes like as we know them today in sports and so forth. They got to perform a certain way, but at the same time, we are athletes in our own right too as well, but it just at a certain level, and you should perform as such. So I'm glad that you said that, and that carry this conversation a lot more on in that aspect. So, but let me ask you. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just really appreciate that, because that if we could just appreciate the high performance engines that we are, oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah.
So you had a question.
Yeah. So, what do you think about like the mindset when it approaches us eating right and so forth? Because I think when you tell a person that they should be eating this way or they child should be eating this way, sort of puts in their mind like, oh, you think you better than me, or what you trying to say, I'm not raising my child right. Because that's what I came up with my son. Like my folks around me and stuff like that. I'm he got sickle cell, so I'm telling him to eat. He got to eat a certain way because he eat kind of real bad and so forth. So I try to tell him, man, you don't want to have other issues going against what you already got going on. And it looks like I'm fussing at him, but I'm actually trying to help him. But then other people around, well, you did this, did that. I don't know. So
it's interesting when we're dealing with kids.
Mhm.
Kids have stem cells beyond measure, way more than like us, pushing 40, right? So their ability to heal, recover, and repair is astronomically different than it will be when they're 35 and beyond. Well, the Bible talks, raise a child in the way they should go and they'll never turn from it. So even though it sounds like fussing, we really are just setting the tone and the example. So one of the things that I do is, one, when it comes to mindset, I have to be okay making changes. Do I want to change?
Mhm.
And if, for example, my kids come to me and they got a headache, or if any of my daughters come to me and they've got, they have cramps on a period, or their acne is breaking out because they cycle started or something, I go, well, what have you been eating? And I don't I don't go right after the symptom. Here's a painkiller, or here's some sort of cream or lotion and potion you can put on your skin. Go, what has your diet been like lately? Have you had a bowel movement today? Are you drinking enough water? Are you taking your minerals? Are you getting your electrolytes and salts balanced? Are you starting your day with protein? So I just start, I pick the question, and they know that I'm not going to, bark at them, because over the years I've just been consistent in asking them very specific questions. And what I've found mindset wise is, if we ask questions, hey, is this working for you? Is this working for you? And have you ever considered, making, maybe starting your day with protein only instead of that bowl of cereal or that oatmeal and pancake? Are you willing to maybe, change up what you're doing? Because what you're doing is potentially inflaming your tissues and causing your body to malfunction. And so I always go at it like a question and answer game. And our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions are really the only thing that we can control. Mindset is everything. And so when I was 15 years old, I kind of always I've thought about this. I could have gone one of two ways. That girl could have made fun of me and I just didn't care. And I just went about my business, and potentially another person make fun, another person make fun, and to the point where maybe I'm, 300 pounds overweight, 200 pounds overweight, and it doesn't matter. But in that case, it hit me in such a way that my young ego kicked in and helped. I kind of think God's providence, the Holy Spirit nudged me and said, Chop, dude, you are in control. It's your life, your health, your choice. And having that moment, and my path was directed. So I'm a firm believer in the Bible, man. So Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. And it actually says paths. Promotion in testing offers paths. Temptation, there's a way of escape. And so in this case, I saw a way of escape from the temptation of sugar, stop it, and that helped me. That was easy. And for some reason, that was the only thing I knew to do, and that's what I did. The paths was now looking, man, I've done every diet under the sun. I know what diet works, when I want it to work, and how it's going to affect me. And now that I'm at this stable state in life where, I got a lot on my plate, I'm that fireball engine, man. I'm ripping and roaring at 200 miles an hour around a racetrack. My mindset is more, who do I want to be when I'm 50? Who do I want to be when I'm 75? Who do I want to be when I'm 95? What do I want my life to look like after I've built it? So the mindset now has been repositioned through questions that I've asked myself and through guidance from people in my life and the Holy Spirit, to ask myself, what do I want my life to look like? And what do I want my life to count for when it's all said and done? And do I have the energy, vitality today to make that happen. And if my thoughts, emotions, and actions line up with something that is what I would call fruitful, the fruits of the spirit,
Mm,
love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, kindness, self-control, not critical, right? Not fussing, but fruitful, I think people are very receptive to change.
mm,
In your son's case, with the sickle cell, that's a big issue, right? And so the changing of the guard, building better quality red blood cells is utmost important. It's the lifeblood. And it would be like, bro, do you know that your blood is your lifeblood? And we want to make it as healthy and strong as possible. I know you've been eating these ways and you're getting away with it today, but no one outruns a bad diet. I want
mm,
the best for you.
mm,
And have you considered making some changes? And he may, unfortunately, Trey, and I have patients do this.
mm.
They say they're not ready. And that's a bitter pill to swallow, but that's where we recognize it's your life, your health, your choice. And we can only lead people, guide people, direct people. And a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So I never tried to convince, I tried to educate and bring back like pillars of health. You know, what are you eating for breakfast? How's your bowels moving every day? People don't realize it, but if you don't have 2 bowel movements a day, you're constipated. And people go,
Mhm.
"No, no, no, you're not supposed to poop that much." Oh, yes, you are. I mean, your bowels do not move, and I'm not trying to be gross. I'm trying to educate.
Yeah, man.
If your bowels are a vacuum, an empty bag, they will suck trash out of your liver, suck trash out of your lymphatics, and your skin won't get used as an exit channel. Your lungs won't get used as an exit channel. You won't have buildup of trash in your brain, and you won't have migraines and headaches, and your joints won't hurt, and they won't get all inflamed and arthritic. And it's amazing to me how much health is in our control.
Yeah,
I know there's unfortunates, like you said,
yeah,
like with sickle cell, that's genetic, right? I
yeah.
mean, and so, but what do we know?
Mm,
Genetics is the gun.
mm.
Lifestyle practice is the trigger. And we want to make sure that we are activating the right cells more frequently than the wrong cells.
Yeah. Yeah, so not like not clarify, like it ain't that I'm fussing at them, but it make it seem like I'm fussing at them. In a sense, because like I'm punishing, and stuff like that. But I do try to teach them teach them in like how you can go. But don't you want to, eat better? Yeah. And then he'll go right back to next in the next setting and like he don't remember anything I said. But
Yeah.
I'm working
But
on them. But
hopefully those
yeah,
seeds are being sown,
right.
and hopefully somebody will come along his path and like he'll see it.
Yeah.
But right now, I mean, there is something to, the youth have an ability to get away with bad decisions a little bit more. But in the end, no one outruns a bad diet. So the goal is to just start making small degrees of change. And I
Mm,
and I call it 1 degree of change. An ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. So when I look at people's food logs, people oftentimes go, "I know you're going to be so mad at me," and I'm like, "Why? Like, why would I be mad at you? Like, I mean, your pain is why. Like, we're here to fix it, right? I want to
mm,
team up with you, not like you said, fuss or chastise. I want to show how do we take a crappy diet, how do we take an uneducated diet, and start moving people. I was talking to a buddy this morning and he said, "I just don't know anything about food." He's 50 years old and
yeah.
he just doesn't he's never had to worry about his weight. He doesn't have a lot of health complaints, but he does have brain fog. He does
Okay.
have memory issues and he has mental processing speed issues. And so if that is his check engine light and I can help him see that removing, say, the 4 deadly food additives, that would be like high fructose corn syrup. That would be which is on a ton of labels, by the way. And if most of our candy bars, candies are loaded chock full of high fructose corn syrup, which is a highly processed, metabolically disruptive sugar source that will wreck your body's ability to manage blood sugar. If we can get people off of monosodium glutamate, MSG, a known brain chemical that literally just stresses the nerves in the body, the nerves in the brain, and it disrupts mental processing speed faster than anything. It is a massive brain chemical. Partially hydrogenated seed oils. So people don't know it. Canola oil is con oil, you know, and we've got to get these types of plant-based garbage oils, vegetable oil. My wife was at a friend's house just recently, and they're buying all this organic food, but they're cooking it in vegetable oil. Oh my
Mm,
gosh. Like,
yeah.
do we realize that vegetable oil clogs up your liver for up to 6 months? Canola oil, con oil, it is garbage and it will wreck your health. It will cause disruption in how your body processes chemicals day in and day out. And then of course, when we look at artificial sugars. So if you're eating or drinking anything that's light, sugar-free, diet, low sugar, if it's got aspartame, if it's got sucralose, and if it's got saccharin on the label, it's more than likely a brain chemical, and it is a chlorinated hydrocarbon, or it is a substance that will convert into at certain temperatures, like the aspartame, into formaldehyde. And we're like, that's an embalming agent. That is
Mm,
terrible for your body's longevity. Although formaldehyde does preserve, but not in the same way that you and I
yeah.
want to be preserved. We want to
Right.
be fully functional in spirit, mind, and
Right.
body. So if we could get people just to get rid of the 4 deadly food additives, how much better would their health be? And it's just educating people to kind of start realizing, wow, we're inundated with garbage.
Yeah. I think too what it comes with is the mindset, not necessarily the mindset of getting yourself into a routine of how to eat. Like you will clock into a job and so forth, and it just you know how what to expect and what to do. Not like that. That can that can change at any given moment, and then you get off your rocker and not eat in a certain way no more after that. But I think is to start thinking about like how we do certain things there. Like I always use car analogies and so forth, where we do a oil change to maintain the car. We put new tires on the car so we can keep the car running for a longer period of time. But when it comes to our body, we don't do that.
That's right.
So I believe it comes to like thinking ourselves that if we want to be fine tuned, like you said, a human athlete that we can be, then you got to start thinking about what you put in your body. What are you doing with your body if you want to live a certain way too? I always make it akin to where like you got some folks when they think about fitness, when they think about eating a certain way, they think of it like a punishment and so forth. I like, nah, it's not really that. Think about it as a life quality thing. What type of
Yes.
quality of life do you want to live? Think about it in that way, and then you will more so go in a new direction or a new action when you think of it more like that. Like what it is that you are already currently doing that you love doing. How long do you want to keep doing it at a high level? And then act accordingly to that and whatever that would be. It don't have to be going to the gym, working out, lifting weights and stuff like that. It can depend on what it is. Whether it ain't gotta be like you trying to get to a goal, trying to lose weight or so forth, but it can just be whatever type of quality of life you want to live. You want to be here for your kids and so forth, and you want to see your daughter walk down that aisle, and however the case may be, or you want to go golfing, for long periods of time. Whatever the case may be, see what that is or what kind of the life that help you to do that longer.
I call it literally, genuinely like going, what do you want your life to look like after you've done built it? And when I watch, there's a big study that's going on since like the late mid 70s,
Mm,
and it's a centenarian study. And the centenarians are people that have lived over 100 years old. And when they did this study, and it's still going on because it's a fascinating thing to observe,
mm,
people that make it to 100 years old have three things in common.
okay.
They have something to live for. Like you said, a grandkid, it's a husband, wife, it is God, it is a pet.
Yeah.
Something is driving them, number one. Number two is they're on no medications. So obviously they're practicing some kind of lifestyle management in order to not be on meds. And number three, they have no issues with their teeth. Interesting. Well, this is not in the fourth, but I would, come alongside and say, hey, let's do a test. It's called a metabolic vulnerability index test. It's a inexpensive test. It's like $65, and it
Mm,
shows how resilient are your cells and how inflamed is your body, how nourished is your tissues? And are your cells able to produce energy and vitality, or is there bogged down and clogging in the system? And interestingly, when we have something to live for, some why, you've heard it say, start with why, Simon Sinek. You ever read that
Yeah,
book?
I haven't heard of it.
It's a good one, but start with why, recognizing that if you're on 1, 2, 3 medications or more, then we have to recognize that we can change that. It may not change in 30 days. It may not change in 3 months, but over the course of about 9 months, you can turn most any metabolic crises around. And so now you have to say, well, I don't know how to do that. Now we've got to go, okay, I need a coach. I need a guide. I need somebody to help me, lead me, direct me in order to live better, be better, perform better, think better in every area of life, and help me be accountable to my ambitions and goals. Because, I mean, think about it. How many people do you interact with day in and day out that are stressed out on a 0 to 10 scale more than a 7? A lot of them.
A lot of them, yeah.
And so we're never designed to run at 7+ stress day in and day out. And unfortunately, the stress is causing people to go and reach to what we call comfort food.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of times, I think, what gets people in trouble is we are guilty of pleasuring ourself because we deserve it. We feel we've worked hard, or somebody hurt our feelings or got stressed out. And we don't deviate to, well, what, that mindset shift of introspection when we evaluate ourselves and say, all right, how did this happen? How did I get here? What can I do today to make 1 degree of change? And when we start asking questions, we're actually responding to life, not getting into our brainstem where we're reactionary, where we're mammalian, and if you get triggered easy, if you anger, frustration, agitation, if you fly off the handle, or if you go into depression mode or oppression mode, typically it's all mammalian based. It's some sort of a reactionary trigger that ran some old memory that needs to be addressed. And the fastest way out of that is to ask a question. Trey, how do you want to feel right now? Dr. Chapa, how do you want to feel right now? I want to feel joyful. I want to feel happy. I want to feel excited about life, passionate. Okay. Well, what's one thing we can do right now to reset ourselves? I can go for a walk. I can go splash some water on my face. I can go look at the beautiful sky. I can take some vitamin D. I could, go eat a steak. I guarantee you, nobody got overweight eating only steaks. They got overweight eating carbohydrates. And this is something that's really powerful to know about your diet. You and I know amino acids, there are essential amino acids, meaning we have to get them from our food, right? There's also essential fatty acids. We have to get these certain types of fats to strengthen our cell membrane from the top of our head to the soles of our feet, from our toes to our nose, and every tissue, cell, organ, gland in the body has these cell membranes that are made out of healthy fats. There is no such thing as essential carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? But yet, the food pyramid taught you and I, being in the same kind of thing, is that we need 6 to 11 servings of bread, rice, cereals, pastas every day. Yeah. How in the world?
Yeah, that go back into what you were saying when we were talking about the cigarettes and the kid style cigarettes and stuff like that. There's a lot of this stuff like is propaganda, like and when you said that, I think you said the health organization and so forth. A lot of this is propaganda to sell certain things. So they made a certain type of claim, studies and stuff like that to be able to sell this product in a mass productive way and so forth. And then that's what we get now, the end product of what's going on now. When did you say?
%. I mean, as a matter of fact, look at this. This is a book that I picked up a couple years ago at the airport because it was orange and it said, "Eat bacon, don't jog." It says, "Get strong, get lean, no BS." Awesome. And a guy with a kettlebell on the cover. I'm like, that's kind of cool. Let me take a look. And it's got a cool picture. This is the 3rd page in the book. and it's got a picture
Insulin.
of the devil, and it's got insulin written on it, right? And I said to myself, and it says right here, it comes down to insulin, but it starts with carbohydrates. And I said, wow, fat is not doesn't have any bearing on your blood sugar, your insulin. Protein has very, very minute, like a percent. Carbohydrates, sugar, and marketed propaganda, somebody that's trying to sell me the almighty food that they're trying to promote, in this case, that drives sugars up, that drives and causes me to go, ride the what we call the ups and downs diet, sets me up for cravings, wanting more of the food that gives me a bit of energy. Or as a kid, I mean, man, kids love sugar. You don't have to sell their taste buds on sugar.
No.
You have to develop a sour, you have to develop a salty, and you have to develop a bitter palate. But the reason most people today have texture issues is because they haven't developed what we call the savory. And savory comes when you have a sweet, sour, bitter, salty palate. The fifth palate just naturally evolves. And that evolution of palate is texture. And so we have made food finicky eaters because we are allowing our youth, even under 15 months old, 24 months old, to be raised on fake, processed, pureed foods that are really just high sugar stimulants. And we're not teaching our moms and dads how to help these kids under 24 months strengthen their gut lining and stabilize their blood sugar early in life. And I got a patient just came in the other day. They got a kid that's 6 years old. The kid can throw a football farther than any other kid. He drops back in the pocket like a 15-year-old, and he can read the field. He can outperform and dodge and tuck and roll. And it is amazing to watch this little dude work the field. And I'm like, wow, the difference between a kid that has been raised on sugar and this kid who has never had sugar in his diet. And I know that sounds extreme, but these parents, they got it, and they're in control of their kid's life, and it shows. He awesome in school, awesome in sports. He can shoot a basketball. He can kick a soccer ball. He can throw a football. There isn't much the little dude can't do, but his nervous system is clean. He, in a sense, when you were talking about maintaining the body, I'm a big detox guy. Detoxification has been a crux in my career, in my practice. And what I mean by that detox, because we talked about this one time before, is that detoxification doesn't mean you're checking into a facility. Detoxification is something you can do just by removing sugar out of your body, your natural detox pathway. Your God-given design pathways will start to purge old unwanted metals and chemicals and food dyes and processed garbage and bad oils and those fake sugars and those brain chemicals that don't belong, and your body will begin to restore itself back to ideal health. So I always like to say, if you're not detoxing in the 21st century, you're missing a huge piece of your healthcare plan. Right. And so I don't want people to go, I don't understand detox, it's scary, or they go, oh my gosh, that means I'm going to have to live on juice and tea for the rest of my life, or I'm not going to be able to go and hang out with the boys on Sunday football or Monday night football. No. Look, at the end of the day, there's a time and a place. We can do 5-day, 7-day, 21-day periods of time, and we base it on you. Like, what if you're a flight attendant? I had this flight attendant come in this week, and she doesn't have like long spats of time. So we have to do things in 72-hour intervals that are like kind of extreme. So we may do, but when she's traveling, we may do intermittent fasting, or we may take a day of fasting, and we may use certain types of products to drive hormonal shifts in her body to handle the stress of being in the air, living in a hotel, living out of her suitcase. And so recognizing every one of us we're on our own journey. Getting enrolled in a healthcare plan is an opportunity for somebody to help you find where your blind spot is that's keeping you from being your best, helping you maintain your liver, your kidneys, your bowels, your lungs, your skin, your hair, your nails, all the stuff that we want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when we maintain the inside, the outside radiates energy. I love it. Makes me so
Yeah.
excited.
Most definitely, man. Now, like when we talk about the people like the in the hustle and bustle of life, the busy people and so forth, with the artists and entertainers, what would you say to them when it comes to diet? Because it's like where it's hard for them to get into cook things, and then they constantly on the road, schedule all crazy. So the restaurant usually be their best friend after parties and all that stuff like that, so forth. Another thing I heard about with teachers and stuff, like I have worked with a couple of teachers, and they be like they can't eat while they at school because
Correct.
they pull out something they around the kids that they end up wanting something. It was something like that. The reason they gave them that, but they can't
Same with
eat at school.
nurses. The
I was
nursing
about to say
industry
that
is the
too.
same way.
Yeah,
They can't even bring water on the floor. You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
So you're 100% right. And all the more reason in these circumstances where we have to get people to have a stable blood sugar. There's 5 hormones that raise your blood sugar. There's one hormone that lowers it. It's called insulin. And so if we can control insulin, we can
yeah.
control cravings, we can
Okay,
control metabolic dis-ease and prevent disease.
okay.
And so I always tell, like, if I was dealing with the athlete, the entertainer
Mm,
that is on the road, I would be teaching them to integrate intermittent fasting
okay.
because that intermittent fasting window gives them plenty of time to eat fuel. So let's just say that they're it's a nightlife, right? Whenever you're an entertainer, typically you're up, your brain turns on at 6 p.m. You got to be on fire. So they sleep in. So I would say, look, let's push your meal time to say 12 to 6. Okay, so let's say we put them in an eating window of 6 hours, and then we have them go from 6 to noon the next day before they eat again. Now they might go, well, that's too much. Okay, well, could you do 12 to 8? I don't go on the show until 9 or 10. So even if we had to move that window up to say 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock, that scale slides. And even if a person had to start with a 12 to 8, an 8-hour eating window, that's
Mm,
fine. Because
yeah.
if you stuck to that, you'd be basically taking your hormones, your metabolism to the gym, metaphorically, metabolically speaking, and training it to leverage those 5 hormones that raise your metabolic engine and stop stressing the insulin engine and allowing the body to maintain itself and to fuel itself in such a way that it will begin to thrive. And during that fasting window, when a person is not eating for 16, 18 hours, very fascinating to watch. The body goes into a state of autophagy. Autophagy is where the body begins to purge old, worn out cells that have outlasted their useful life. So autophagy is very much influenced metabolically by fasting. And so that would be one way that I would handle, like, hey, what if we give you all you're still going to get your 2,400 calories. You're still going to get your 2,000 calories. I'm just going
Mm,
to help you get it in a window of
window.
time. And then,
Right.
and then I'm going to do something really interesting. So let's say uh, the teacher, right? Well,
Mm,
I'm going to have them start their day right so that they can end it right. I'm going to give them a good solid protein base in the morning. And that protein base could be eggs, it could be bacon, it could be the standard stuff. But it could also just be chicken, fish, turkey, eggs. It doesn't have to be breakfast food, right? I think that, again, good marketing has sold America on eating sugar foods, pastries, dessert style pancakes and stuff with
yeah.
syrup and everything else on it, and sugar in their coffee first thing in
Yeah.
the morning. Well,
Yeah.
if I can say, hey, your first meal of the day, I want it nothing but protein and fats, so lots of butter and lots of protein. That's a metabolic log on the fire, and that's going to carry them into their lunch hour, for which where they can have more protein and veggies. They will I will push their carbohydrates later in the day. Like if they want a sweet potato or if they want a potato, if they want a little bit of bread or something, I would push that to later in the day so that the fasting window now is a carb fast. I'm pushing those carbs later in the day into a 2-hour gap where they're only getting a little less empty calories. We're gonna definitely limit or take out obvious sodas or juices or obvious sugary drinks so that they are limiting that window of spiking their system to very much just on the weekend, or if they have a day where we'll give them a little bit of grace where they can go kind of have some fun with family and stuff like that. But one meal isn't going to derail a person. What happens is when you start every day with sugar, cereal, candies, cakes, pastries, donuts, etc., day in and day out, or you skip a meal and you start with energy drinks and sugary coffee, or these loaded calorie. Oh my gosh, I mean, have you seen some of the calorie load in like some of the drinks you can get at the fast food joints?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just chalked. So you get this massive surge in blood sugar, and then we wonder why our brain stops working an hour and a half later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're back down in the toilet. We're like, oh my God, I feel hungover. I feel sick.
Yeah.
I feel nauseous. And if we can put metabolic logs on the fire, it changes the game. And you could start your day right to end it right. You could do intermittent fasting and start your day with protein, even at that intermittent fasting level, push carbs to later in the day. And all of a sudden, you're controlling with intention the quality of food you're putting in your body. And that makes a world of difference. And it's overnight. Within 72 hours, I've changed people's diet like this. I can travel like this. These airplane attendants that don't really have access to much. I'm like, guys, when you find a restaurant, just get you a big old, protein meal and veggies. And avoid the fried food, especially for our entertainers who are on the road. Like if you're on the road, you're more susceptible to infections. You're more susceptible to, wacky nights, bad nights of sleep, living out of the suitcase, and heaven forbid they get into alcohol or after party stuff. All those things, all the more reason why they have to make better choices going into those events so that if they are entertaining, and I have people all the time go to, they're salespeople and they're taken out by the reps often. Like, dude, mocktails, here we go. Sparkling water, or you can even get soda water from every bar, and every bar has bitters because every bar knows somebody's going to get an upset stomach because they're going to drink too much, right? If you do soda water and bitters, you do about a teaspoon to 3 teaspoons of bitters in soda water, throw a cherry in it, it looks like a drink. It looks like, and people go, what are you drinking? I'm going to bitters and soda water. They're like, cool. And nobody cares. So then what if you do alternate? So instead of having 3 glasses of wine, you have bitters and soda water, a glass of wine, and then bitters and soda water. And you do that 1 time a week, or you do that never. My rules with alcohol are never back-to-back days and no more than twice a week. And the reason being is that gives your liver plenty of time to catch up and keep up. That gives your body time to recover and restore itself. And so I don't encourage or condone people having tons of alcohol or sugar. But if you do things strategically and understand that, man, if I loaded you down right now with 2 50-pound weights in your suitcase or your bag, it gets heavy. So why would we load our body down with all this fake weight and cause it metabolically to shut down earlier and age faster than it needs to? Man, I could talk about this stuff forever because the reality is it's just about finding solutions so that we can keep being the best version of ourselves possible.
Right. Yeah, most definitely, man. And back to what you were talking about with the breakfast and so forth, a lot of folks like to skip quote unquote breakfast, but I be trying to tell them, like, the minute you eat, that's breakfast. You know what I'm saying? But skipping it throughout the part of the day when you first wake up, and then that causes a lot of problems if you're not really actually in that intermittent fasting as you stated.
Because most of the time people are eating, they are drinking sugar, even though they're skipping breakfast.
Right.
They're typically doing Monsters or energy drinks, or they're doing some type of sugary coffee of sorts. And here's the reality. You know, your stomach is most active between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m.
Yeah.
That's the morning. And so when people skip that, there's an old saying that says we're supposed to eat like kings and queens for breakfast, princes and princesses for lunch, and
Mm.
paupers for dinner.
No, I
And
ain't.
and so
First time I heard that. Okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
yes, and so because when you eat a big hefty meal at 9 o'clock at night,
Mm,
your liver is most active
mm,
between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m.
okay.
So your liver's not supposed to be digesting food at night. You're supposed to be detoxing at night. The natural liver detox pathways, growth hormone, accelerated pathways for recovery, for regeneration happen in the middle of the night. And so
Okay.
when you wake up feeling hot from night sweats or meat sweats, your body's doing too much metabolic activity and detoxing and digesting food. Your body is not healing and recovering and restoring itself back to ideal health. That is a problem. And so we have to recognize there are circadian rhythms throughout our day that our body operates. When the sun is at its peak, 11 to 1, your heart is most active. And do you know, most, if not all, major athletic events, world records are set between 11 and 1. When the sun is at the best, when the heart is at its best. And so if we understand this concept of eat like kings and queens for breakfast, the best, most important meal of the day is breakfast. But it doesn't mean it is sugar for breakfast. It's proteins and fats. And then when the sun goes down, you eat smaller meals so that you can get ready for digestion and detox throughout the meal.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. Now I ain't gonna take up too much more of your time. Just a couple more questions.
Sure, man.
One, one,
Fun.
huh?
This is fun. I love it.
Okay. Cool. Cool. I mean, I can talk about fitness and health all day too. But yeah. So, but but we wanna, I know you got something else to do as well. But yeah. So man, talk about like a little bit about. We didn't really like get too much into your job. What does a clinical nutritionist do? And like
Yeah. So
who do you work
my job is to find solutions to why people's body is breaking down. So if a person comes to me with any health ailment, whether it's a basic symptom, whether it's an emotional state, whether it is belly pain or some obscure issue. So I've seen everything from autistic kids to people that have skin problems to people that have allergies, people that have infertility problems. So these are all what we call labels, right?
with?
So a label in the Western world is diagnosable and treatable with medication.
Mm,
In the functional space, we are looking for underlying issues, root cause medicine, heal the cell opportunities to get the body back in alignment with how God designed it. And so I even take that a step further and I call it what we call transformational medicine. And
okay.
so when people come in to see me, they may come in to see me with a slew of medications
Mm,
or multiple labels. And my mission, my hope, my desire is to show them a way out of that trap because that locks them into the medical system and it locks them into being a victim. I want to transform their thought process into seeing their worth and their value in Christ Jesus and know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they have legacy potential in their gene pool, in their victory lane. And I want them to see that it's worth the effort to rise up like an eagle and fly above into the heavens and experience life fully functional, Trey, in
mm,
spirit, mind, and body. And so I will look at people's diets and help them see where the inflammation's coming from. That could be the 4 deadly food additives. That could be most common inflammatory foods. That could be obvious inflammatory foods. It could be ideas on how to integrate into a busy traveling lifestyle, living on the road lifestyle, and in showing people that there is a way. I just made a little post yesterday because I have so many people too that tell me, I just can't live like you, Dr. Chapa. And they say, this is your job and da da da. And I'm like, it's my job because look, any good pastor will tell you if they have to
Mm,
preach a message 2 or 3 times, they need to hear it more than the people that are they're preaching to.
mm,
And so I obviously need to hear this message myself and be encouraged in it because the reality is I have helped people with their pets live healthier, less inflamed lives with more vitality and energy because we changed the animal's diet because the pet food's even worse.
mm,
But the shot records are even worse for our pets. And so I am on the hunt for showing people where chemical adulteration is coming in, where bioburdens are falling down, whether they're parasites. Tomorrow, for me, marks the full moon. And the full moon means it's detox season time. It is
right.
parasite hunting time. People go, dude, we live in America, bro. We don't have parasites. And I'm like, high CEO diet. You got parasites. And I assure you, these bugs are living on sugar. They are infiltrating and stealing your energy. They are causing mental fog and brain fog and worse, dementia, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and all those neural degeneration issues. And if we can start cleaning your house, your temple from head
Mm,
to foot, inside and out, get rid of the metals, chemicals, and bioburdens, whether it's yeast or parasites or bacterium, guess what? People will begin to thrive. And so I build nutritional programs with supplements or detox protocols based on blood work, based on that metabolic vulnerability index test, based on symptom patterns that they've been suffering with needlessly for so long and tried so many things to fix. And slowly but surely, we start just like Michelangelo when he chiseled away with what was it, David? They said,
mm,
how did you do it? How did you make him so beautiful? And he goes, I just chiseled away that what wasn't him. So I get in
okay.
there and I look and I'm like evaluating your words, your history, your current state. I'm looking at your blood numbers. I'm evaluating you as a full human where a neurologist just focuses on the brain, I focus on the whole human. When a cardiologist just focuses on the heart, I focus on the whole human. When a rheumatologist looks at just your joints, I look at the
Man.
whole human. And
Yeah.
so I run better blood panels and I look and listen and ask better questions and give you better solutions that are more than just medication. It's transformational. And
Yeah.
self discipline is a fruit of the spirit. So teaching people to operate in love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self control gives them fruit that they want and that other people are attracted to. So naturally, people are going to be more attracted to you in business. They're going to be more attracted to you in your speech. They're going to be more attracted to you in your look and appearance and the energy you percolate and radiate because you feel good. I mean, think about it, my man. You and I have been just talking back and forth for the last hour or so, and the energy that we are bringing to people's lives and lifestyle shifts, I hope people go, dude, I want what they got. You know what I mean? Because when people see that we are offering something more than just a solution to their problem, but an opportunity to transform into who they've been designed to be, woo, baby, that'll preach all day.
Yeah. I agree, and like I said, I don't want to go into another tangent and everything like that. But what you were saying about certain doctors work with certain things, that's very true. 'Cause I was like with my son with sickle cell, they were telling him all these things that he should be doing. Not one time did they say anything about his diet. I was like, what? Okay, what about his diet though?
Come
She said,
on.
well, yeah. She was like, well, you're gonna have to talk to the doctor about that. Are we telling him to drink his water? I'm like, okay, that's good, but
Yeah,
he need to live a
it's
certain
good. It's a good place to start, but it's far
right.
stretch, a
Yeah,
far cry from what needs to be taught. And
yeah,
again, think about it. The average doctors, and again, I'm sorry to get off on a tangent, but
yeah,
it's true. These
right.
medical doctors today in the West, okay, get less than 6 hours of nutritional training,
Hmm.
food training. And watch this. Dietitians, okay, have to run their food plan through the doctor.
For
I
real?
mean, oh yeah, they don't even get to make their own call. And so
Uh,
it's
you taught me something new
unfortunate
today.
that these guys are basically filtering, and I've had doctors that I work with cancer patients and stuff like that, and it's always a challenge and an interesting phenomenon. But they give them no diet plan, they give them no rules or regulations until they see what I'm recommending, and then they try to tell my patient they can't have mushrooms. I'm like, where did they tell you that? When did they tell you that? How long you been working with this person? And they'd be like, I've been working with this person for like 2 years. I'm like, and really, they haven't ever told you anything about food until I told you what you could eat, right? And I have to, take a step back and realize these guys are just doing the best they can. So, okay, grace can be given, but don't be telling people information that's bunk and just because you don't know.
Yeah.
Food is medicine, and the doctor of the
Hmm.
future, this is the best thing if all of our listeners can grab hold of. The doctor of the future will see food as fuel, medicine, and a regenerative restoration plan, not drugs, pharmaceuticals. If you take the P off of pharmacy, it says harmacy. You know why? It'll harm you. So
I
I
like
get
that.
excited, brother. I get excited. I
I,
get
I
excited.
like that's what I'm saying. The more you stuff you're saying, I like. I know what questions I ask, what I want to hear answers to it. But like I said, but that came up more stuff come to mind. But I'm gonna know you got to go. So I would say, but out of everything that we talked about, it talked about a lot. And for me, not to just list anything down, but we talked about a few things. Out of everything that we discussed here today, what would you tell people who listening to this that would be the biggest takeaway that they can get from this, or in helping them live a more knowledgeable way of eating and nutrition and having a more fruitful and long life?
Yeah. It's your life, it's your health, it's your choice. Make good choices. And all life starts and stops at the cellular level. And nutrition really does drive it all. It drives your mental state, it drives happy meter, it drives your physical fitness energy path. It allows you to be fully creative, fully engaged, fully processed. And if you don't like where your health is, if you don't like your outflow, if you don't feel engaged and creative, check what you're putting in your
Mm,
mouth and don't get hung by your tongue. So we have to confess right, we have to eat right. And if we realize the tongue controls both of those, it has been proven, scientifically proven in all aspects of life. Your tongue controls darn near every part of your body. So if you speak death, you get death. If you speak carnally, you get carnally. If you speak fruit and faith and joy and expectation and you have hope that you can hold dear to, man, you can go onward, upward, goodward, and Godward. And
okay.
I hope that helps. I hope people walk away going, oh, yeah, he did. I like that. All life starts and stops in the cells, and digestion is everything. Eating
Mm,
protein for breakfast, good start, right? And insulin, controlling insulin and carbohydrates is everything. There's no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. What, like rapid fire, they can just go,
yeah.
okay, I can work on that. And I'll leave you with this last little nugget, man. I
Okay.
was just listening to a podcast, and this doctor was talking. He's a biologist at a oriented school, and he was teaching about this no sugar lifestyle. And this lady was listening, and her dog had a tumor on its mouth. Okay. And nobody could fix it. They wanted to do chemo, radiation, and all the things. And she didn't want to go through all that and put him through all that. And she goes, I listened to the podcast over and over and over again about detoxification and no sugar. And inside of 6 months, the tumor fell off his face. She contacted the guy, and the guy's, well, I'm a biologist at an institution. There's no way I can really speak much to it. Let me call my buddy who's a veterinarian.
Mm,
And so this stuff works in anything that has cells in life. That means if
mm,
you have breath in your lungs, you have life. And all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition drives it. If you put fake food in, you'll have make believe health. If you put real food in, you can have real health, real energy, real vitality, and set yourself up for longevity in the kingdom of God, man. And that just gets me excited to share that with your people.
all right, definitely, man. I appreciate that. I'll definitely get in on that note, man. And so with that said, let everybody know again where they can find you and if they want to partake in your services and so on and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. So drchopawellness.com, all the social medias out there, I can be found. You can type in, even on Google, Dr. Aaron Chapa, I will pop up. And I'm excited, to be a resource. Every Monday night, I teach a live class and educate people on different topics. And you can contact our office and be a part of what we do to help you run some of these functional labs, look at some of these metabolic tests, and see how your body can thrive in a world that is not in your favor to, but we can teach you how to navigate the pitfalls and move onward, upward, goodward, and Godward day in and day out. So, Trey, thanks for the opportunity to be with your folks, man. And it's always a pleasure to see you and chat with you, and I hope to do it again.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. I appreciate you for coming on the show. Like I said, it was a few other things that I had in my mind that we definitely can talk about. So we definitely can have another rendezvous at this and so forth and any other topic. So you got anything that you want to like talk about? Just run the topic by me. I'm like, okay.
Well, tell your folks as well, if you got people that are listening and want to be a part of that statement of, hey, tell Trey what you want us to speak to, and especially when it comes to metabolic health, and we will talk it. It'll make it happen and educate people to exactly what they want. Because you and I can sit around and chit chat because we love it. And but if people have genuine interest, man, let's go after that too. So thanks so much.
All right, definitely. Y'all make sure y'all come at me on that and everything. Let us know what y'all want to hear and learn about it, so forth. But all right, cool, man. Again, thank you for coming, man. And like I said, love to have you back, and we chop it up again. And the next time, this is man Trea Da Fit Artist. This is Sculpt N Create. My guest, Dr. Aaron Chapa. We out of here.
Later.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. If you're looking for fitness coaching to help you reach your goals, want to join our animated network for fitness guidance, collaborations, networking, and community, or are interested in being a guest on the show, check out the links in the description. Stay creative, stay fit, and we'll holler at you next time.